Well, of course the family made a statement. Did you really expect them not to either way? Hey guys, this is Jules with True Crime Reactions. Now, all over Twitter is the statement that the Goncalves has made. I went to their Facebook page first to see if it was on there, but I don't see it. So I just went ahead and I pulled up the actual article. And this can actually be looked at two ways. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, Howard Blum is lying. Okay, and he very well could be. Or he's being told information about things that are actually happening, and this could be damage control. We don't really know. I see Steve as the type of person that would go full force into these kinds of things. And again, that's just me making an assumption based off of the way that he has presented his persona to the public. On top of that, whenever all of the Linda Lane stuff actually was going on in real time, Steve's name was in the mix of that from the jump, from the very first conversation, from the person that claimed to have obtained the footage and Sleuthy Goosey. There's a whole video series about that entire issue. And no, for those who have no clue, this does not mean at all that Sleuthy Goosey had anything to do with the Linda Lane leak. She was just the person that was contacted first for some reason by the person who obtained the footage. And this was a few days before it actually hit the internet and went super insane. And Steve's name is mentioned in that very, very first conversation about this. And then we had a couple of people come out. You guys that were following that situation know who I'm talking about, from over on TikTok, two of them actually, claiming that in all of the Linda Lane stuff, the only thing that Steve Goncalves actually did was send over a screenshot to one of them to let them know that they had the actual footage and that the audio that they had differed from what was being passed around the public. There's two different stories going on with that. So when the Howard Blum article mentions this and mentions Steve and his involvement in the whole thing, that seemed pretty legit. But then again, Howard Blum has just as much access to the internet as we do. And I've also heard rumors that one of those little TikTokers is actually talking with Howard Blum. I've heard on the payroll, but again, that's all just rumors, but who really knows? Because it seems like these actual tragedies aren't tragic enough for some of these humans out here. And so they feel the need to do extra, to do the most, to get the attention on them for some reason. And honestly, that concept I just will never understand. But that's why this channel reacts to all of this. People sit here and act like we're just armchair detectives or we're trying to do something. No, not here. I might have a degree in criminal forensic science, but I am more on the side of reacting to what the public is being told, reacting to the way that the public is reacting to what we're being told. I guess I'm more interested in the psychology of the entire thing. I think that's what it really is. It's more my brain trying to comprehend the way that people can just make certain decisions to do certain things that they know in the end are not going to end well. And it's really hard for me to wrap my mind around people that make certain choices. Sometimes, whenever I'm looking at a situation, I can justify certain things in my brain. But for a lot of this, I honestly just don't comprehend. I just don't. Selfishness and having to have the spotlight 24/7, that kind of behaviors are not in my vocabulary. They're not in my purview. They're just not. So stuff like this where people come out and they make these grand, huge statements to try to get attention, and it's in a situation that has literally nothing to do with them. It's gross to me. It's gross. Like this tragedy, even if it was just one person that lost their lives, this tragedy is tragic enough. But then we have people that are coming out and injecting themselves into the case, making it to where it's more about them than anything else. We have these people that are writing books on a case that is nowhere near concluded yet, which makes no logical sense to the average human that's been around since like rotary phones. We all know how books and novels are supposed to be, and they're supposed to be completed stories. So when people are writing books, full on books and like documentaries and things on a situation that has not concluded, that kind of stuff doesn't make any sense to me. It just doesn't. Now I'm going to read the statement, and then I'm going to give you some more of my thoughts on this, because I'm taking everything, what the family state, what the cops state, what the lawyers state, what anyone states, with a 5,000 million, cajillion, octillion pound grain of salt. Okay. This states, this is a statement from the Goncalves family lawyer, so from Shannon Gray, and it denounces much of what Blum states in his publication, saying Blum is profiting from Kaylee's family's situation. I just want to make it very clear to the public that we have not spoken to Mr. Blum about Kaylee. This is nothing more than grandstanding and a very, very poor attempt at getting attention. This piece is obviously fictional, but written in poor taste. The Goncalves family would ask that everyone please respect the victims of this tragedy and continue to support trustworthy journalism. Yeah, but what trustworthy journalism? Nobody on the mainstream media is trustworthy. Nobody in the mainstream media cares, because all they care about is what the people that write their checks tells them to care about. They don't care about the truth. They care about the juice. They care about what gets the views. They care about the Jerry Springer-esque type details, which is why they had everyone in such a tizzy over Kaylee's love life whenever this first went down. That was mainstream media that pointed everyone at Kaylee and Jack and put the Goncalveses in the spotlight. It was them. And we can sit here and we can have our opinions, honestly, and, I'm not innocent of this, but we can have our opinions about how the Goncalveses are constantly out there in the media. Well, the media is the one who put them there. The media is the one who constantly was hounding them and asking them to do interviews and asking them to answer this question and asking them about this and asking them about that. And they were just trying to get their daughter's case solved. So yeah, they were going to take every single opportunity to get out in front of a camera. Wouldn't you? And don't tell me no, because that's a lie. But see, the problem is that I don't recall there being anything in Howard Blum's article claiming that he spoke with Steve directly. As a matter of fact, it seems as if when it comes to some of the sources, it's like text messages that were received by Airmail or something that a Steve's friend said, stuff like that. I didn't honestly see anything in there that claimed directly that he has talked to the family whatsoever. It's all like third-party hearsay, which is something that Crime Sleuthin mentioned to me yesterday, that's a way that Howard Blum is kind of getting away with saying all of these things without getting in trouble, because he's not technically claiming that it's coming straight from a certain person. He's not giving any actual specific stance. Because if you're just saying, oh, according to Steve's friend, he's talking to 2 jury members, you would literally have to go and like subpoena the phone records and interview every single one of Steve Goncalves' friends, which is probably way more now than it was before this incident, honestly. And like literally go through all of their phones and all of their information to find out who it was that gave Howard Blum that info, and then to go in and try to find out who the jurors were. But the thing with this is that I don't think they can just ignore this. I really don't think they can. Like, I don't think that they can have this come out and say that Steve Goncalves is in talks with 2 of the grand jury members that's leaking them information and them not have to do something about it. If anything, Howard Blum, and he probably already has been contacted, Howard Blum will probably be contacted and be like, hey, homeboy, who told you that? Because we need to know that information. And if they come with a warrant, then, I don't really know how that new stuff works. If they come with a warrant, does Howard Blum have to give them over information on his information? Like, I know sources and stuff are protected, but if the FBI came in and was like, no, you're going to give us this because now we have to figure this out and we have to prove whether or not there was a grand juror leak or not, does he have some sort of like media protection? I'm sure somebody actually knows the answer. This is me literally asking questions out loud because I'm doing this and then have to work, and I will probably forget to Google it. So please, if anyone knows how that works media wise, drop it in the comments. But honestly, do we really know if any of it's true or not? Do we really know if the family is serious and actually sitting here claiming that everything in that article is nothing but fiction? Or are they only claiming that because a lot of dangerous information was released and this is damage control? You have to look at it both ways because that's what I instantly thought. I know a lot of people are just going to be like, I can't believe he did that. That poor family. And yeah, I mean, that's part of it too. But, and you know, it was like their birthdays. I was on their Facebook page and it was just Olivia, Steve, and like the son Steve's birthday, all within the past few days while all of this was going on. I believe the son's birthday was this past Friday, and I think Steve's birthday was like 2 days ago, and Olivia's birthday was like yesterday, something like that. So if you guys aren't on the family's Facebook page, I'll have a link for it in the description box. You can go over there and drop them happy birthdays and whatnot. But I don't know. I mean, again, I am not completely against vigilante justice. I'm just not. But whenever you're not the only family in the situation, you have to be so, so careful. And I just really hope that anything that Steve might be actually doing in the background doesn't end up causing true justice not to happen here for anything, whether it be whatever happens with Bryan or whatever happens with the case itself. Because a lot is riding on technicalities and a lot is riding on rules not being broken to where things have to be let go of. Things have to happen because someone did something that forced that hand. Those are the things that we don't want to happen here. We want the process to take the process that it's supposed to take, if that makes any sense. We don't want to have to keep having all of these hiccups and these bumps in the road, because then it makes it even more confusing and more chaotic, and that's not fair. That's not fair all the way around. Okay? And it's at the most important part of all of this is that it's not fair to the families. The victims aren't here to have to go through any of this. They don't have to deal with any of this stress. It's all on the families. And even though the Goncalveses are the only ones really out in the forefront of the cameras, don't sit there and think that they're the only ones grieving. They're just the only ones out here talking about how they feel about all of it. The other three families are just keeping it in and handling it in their own way, in a different way, but they're all feeling it. These articles come out, they feel it too, not just the Goncalveses. And again, people can say whatever they want about that family and they can have their own feelings for it, but it seems as if this is the designated speaker for the entire situation, and it's been that way from the beginning. The Chapins don't want nothing to do with it, and it seems as if Xana's family and Maddie's family are just letting Steve take the reins. If you knew that you couldn't mentally deal with all of this, and there was somebody in the situation with you that was willing to take the responsibility, I don't know very many people that wouldn't take that opportunity. Especially knowing that that person is just as passionate as you about making sure that this is correct and justice is served right. It's a whole catch-22 situation, because even then, this still isn't about the families. It's still actually about the victims and them getting justice for what I can't even imagine had to be something that you can't even write about. I can't even imagine what it was like in that house that night. I can't. But yeah, that's the updates on that situation. Again, they were going to make a statement either way. They were going to make a statement whether it was to clarify something or denounce something. This made such a stir one of these statements was bound to happen. But let me know what you guys think. Is this legit? Is he really claiming that everything that Howard Blum mentioned is false and we should just ignore it? Or is this damage control because maybe there's some truth to it and that truth could be kind of devastating to the situation? Let me know what you guys think. See y'all.